Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about trash books, and I've been wanting to record this video for a few weeks just because it's such a fun thing to do, and I wanted to talk to you basically about trash books, and I'm just going to jump straight into it. If you don't know what a trash book is, trash books are those kind of stories that make you feel like an angsty teenager. It's as if they poured their heart and soul into every dramatic, emotion-filled, chaotic twist into the story that they could possibly think of. And you know the stories I'm talking about. They're the ones that are filled with the questionable decisions, the ones where the characters are running headfirst into the storm and you just want to scream at them to stop. But it's so fun, you can't stop turning the page because you just want to find out what's going to happen next and what chaos is going to ensue. These are the books that the likes of the literary elite might scoff at, because they're not the perfect prose, they're not tightly woven plots, well structured or anything like that. I'm not saying that trash books are bad books, and even calling them trash books feels a little bit wrong because they're not trash as in they're rubbish, they're just self-indulgent balls of emotional chaos that we love to just slip into. They're just unapologetically fun. You know, they make us laugh, they make us cry, they make us scream, they make us roll our eyes at the character, they make us shout. It's that kind of story that you just need to keep turning the page to see what disaster the character's gonna face next. And usually they've caused it. And I think as writers, we are taught that we need to aim for like this literary greatness, that we have to have perfect prose on every single page, that every sentence needs to be well thought out and crafted, and that if our books aren't perfectly polished, they're just not good enough. But then where's the joy in that? What's wrong with throwing in the betrayal or the love triangle or, I don't know, the most angsty thing you can think of? You know, I think trash books remind us that writing can be and should be a lot of fun. I mean, that's why so many of us become writers, is that fun and that addiction to just creating these worlds with all the angst in them. And sure, there is the place for literary books. I'm not dissing them at all. But as an indie author, that's not usually what we're going for. Those books are more for when you want to be heard and have something specific to say. But the trash books are for the sheer self-indulgence of just writing a really fun story with really fun characters with deep emotions that our readers feel. Writing a trash book is like opening your favourite bag of sweets and then just eating the whole lot in one go. And they're just like so super satisfying. I'm writing a trash book right now under my other pen name, and I'm sharing it with some readers as I write it. They are loving it. I get messages off them asking where's the next bit, where's the next bit, what's going to happen next. It's literally just a trash book, but I'm having the most fun with it. I'm putting the most chaos into this story, and every time I get my characters into a situation that they have to figure a way out of, and then they get out of it and they just slam straight into the next problem, and it's just filled of drama and messiness, and it's absolutely great. And I have the most flawed characters I could think of in this, and my readers are just eating it up, and I'm just loving the story. It's the story that kind of sticks in my head all day when I'm doing other things that I just can't wait to get back to. And it's the story that I could literally sit down and just spend hours writing all day and just completely indulge myself in the world. And I think there's something liberating about letting go of all the rules when you're writing and just writing for the sheer joy. And when we get to write trash books, we get to write our wildest, craziest story ideas into them. If you want a love triangle with a brooding vampire and a secret billionaire werewolf, go for it. You want those people to turn out to be your character's childhood crushes and she didn't know? Absolutely. Trash books completely thrive on the unexpected. In fact, the more strange and weird, the better. What is it that keeps us glued to the pages, no matter how chaotic and over the top they are? You know, these are the stories with the magnetic pull that pulls us right in. They may not follow the traditional storytelling rules, but they deliver something else, and that's just pure, unfiltered fun. And I want to break down the ingredients of what makes a truly addictive trash book. So first you have the non-stop drama. These books literally thrive on the drama, the thing after thing after thing that your character can experience. They want twists, they want betrayals, they want heartbreak. It is literally just all the drama that you can think of happening one after the other. And the crazier the better. And it's one of these things that you'll put your characters in this drama thing, which they'll fix, and then boom, the next one comes along, and that's what makes them so page turning, because it's just this roller coaster of up and down all the way through. Then there is the emotional intensity of a trash book, and this is probably the heart of any trash book. It's not really about the story and the plot points. It's a lot about the emotions that the characters feel with it. Your readers want to be able to laugh, they want to be able to cry, they want to live vicariously through your characters and feel everything they feel. They want the heartbreak and the betrayal and the loneliness and the despair and the sheer happiness and the, you know, any emotion you can think of that's intense. Your readers want to feel that through the characters. And when the emotions are really raw, your readers just can't get enough of it. But that's not to forget the messy, flawed characters. Nobody wants a character with their life together, or if they have got their life together, then it's fake and it's gonna fall apart. Your readers want the messy, flawed characters. You look at the industry and the books right now, they love the villains with the tragic past, the anti-heroes with the tragic past, the good hero. They want the protagonist who has to fight for who she is, who even doesn't realise who she is, who grows in this really great character arc. They want the messy and flawed characters who mess up, who screw everything up, who literally cause the drama themselves. And sure, you know, you might roll your eyes at the things the characters do in these books, but you can't look away, and that's why they work so well. And one of the most addictive things in trash books is their unpredictability. And I know trash books can be a little bit predictable because they kind of get formulaic, which is why they work. You know, a romance book's gonna have a happy ever after, and you know guy's gonna lose the girl, but also there's the unpredictability of what dramatic thing is going to happen next. You know, in the trash book story I'm writing, it happens in a fantasy world, so I can literally throw monsters at them at every turn, and I do, and I throw them into all sorts of chaos, and my readers can't predict it. And that's one of the feedback things I've been getting off my readers, is that the things that go on in the story, they say they never would have thought about it, because I am just letting my wild imagination go on this story and throwing everything in it. And I'm talking to things like, you want the surprise Vegas wedding, or the villain that turns out to be the sibling. You know, even if you're not a Star Wars fan, and I've literally never seen Star Wars, I still know that there is that whole bit where Darth Vader goes, "No, Luke, I am your father." That, I mean, I don't know if it was predictable in the story, but it seems to me like it was this shock revelation, and that is the unpredictability that trash books thrive on. In the end, trash books are addictive because they give us permission to just indulge in the madness. And they remind us that stories don't actually always have to make sense. They just have to be fun, and they just have to make us feel things, and they have to make us cheer for the characters. And you take a look at the most popular books that we've had in the last 10, 20 years. You know, there's been 50 Shades of Grey, Twilight. I mean, Twilight literally is one of the ultimate trash books for teenagers. It's why it was so popular. You know, you've got this angsty teenage girl who moves to a strange town. She's got the brooding vampire who for some reason has decided to go to high school every year for however hundreds of years he's been alive. And then you've got the hunky werewolf who takes his t-shirt off at every opportunity he gets. And they're both fighting for her. I mean, who wouldn't want that? And, you know, it's unrealistic, but it's such an amazing love triangle that just pulls the readers in. You've got the 50 Shades of Grey books that are trash novels style things, and it's this student where she goes to interview the billionaire, and he's captivated by her, and then he's got these dark secrets and she falls into his dark world, but he also can't let her go. I mean, who doesn't want the billionaire to fall in love with them and take them into their world and be protective and possessive? Obviously we don't want that in real life, but in fiction it's fun and it's indulgent. I mean, there are so many books with that kind of trope in them that do well. You know, the mafia books do so well, and they are literally the same as 50 Shades of Grey. Sure, they might not have the BDSM basement, but they do have the rich, protective, you touch her and you will die vibes to them, and they work. So how do you write a trash book? And don't get me wrong, when I'm talking about trash books and I'm not having plot or structure, I'm not saying you can literally throw anything on the page. It still has to be good writing in a way as it tells a good story. And your words still have to go onto the page with care. You're not just throwing any garbage out there to the readers and expecting them to enjoy it. That's not what I'm saying at all. But writing a trash book is just having the drama. It's kind of a balance between, you're not looking for something clever, you're looking for something quick. I mean, this is why Hallmark movies do so well. You know, they are the ultimate Christmas trash movies. You know that the big CEO from the city who's going to go and close down the town's big store and break everyone's hearts is going to fall in love with the lumberjack who really doesn't like her at the start. You know that's going to happen, and you know at the end she's going to move to the town, she's going to find a way to save it, but we don't care. We like it. And when you're writing these books, you have to lean into the chaos of the story. So like I said before, trash books thrive on the unpredictability. So when you're writing a trash book, you need to lean into this. Come up with the most wildest, craziest plot twist. There is nothing that is too over the top. You know, did your character just discover their royalty? I actually love those, and there's a few Hallmark movies of that I watch a lot on repeat just because I enjoy that trope. You know, did they just find out they were royalty and stolen at birth, and maybe they were... Well, even look at Harry Potter. He finds out he's a wizard. You know, how much more indulgent than that can you get? Imagine how much fun J.K. Rowling had writing that. And she put everything weird into that book. Like, it was completely magical, and look how massive the franchise is. So lean into the chaos. She literally did with those books. You know, you have Harry is this emotionally abused orphan boy living under the stairs, discovers he's a wizard and that he's really important, and that the biggest bad guy ever in the wizarding world wanted to kill him, and he's been hidden for safety. How more trashy can you get than that? And then J.K. Rowling literally leans into the chaos and throws everything at him, and we have everything she could obviously think of. We've got goblins and dragons and trolls. When you're writing a trash book, embrace the cringe as well. It's what keeps soap operas going. You know, there is a reason we've got a soap opera called Coronation Street, and I don't even know how long that's been going. 50 years maybe. You know, there's literally a character in there who's been married so many times. Her husband died. She married a murderer, a con man. He tried to kill her. Oh gosh, I don't even know. If this happened in real life, you'd be like, what the hell? But in soap opera, people keep tuning in, and there's a reason it's been going longer than I've been alive. And it is embracing the cringe when you are writing these stories. Write that angsty love confession. Write that overly dramatic declaration of love. Write that over-the-top breakup scene. Let your characters feel and make your readers feel the same things at the same time. Don't forget to tap into the raw emotions. So trash books make readers feel everything. This is why they're so popular. And I feel like I'm repeating myself a little bit, but the why they work and the how to do it is kind of the same thing. You know, if you're writing a trash book, put down every emotion possible. If you're feeling the emotions when you're writing the story, your readers are really going to feel it. So when you're writing, tap into those emotions yourself. Like, write the betrayal. This is where they say, you know, write what you know. If you've been through a betrayal, pull out that raw emotion in yourself and write it onto the page and write it into the characters. I like the book It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, and I know that that story comes from a personal place in her life. I think her mum suffered domestic abuse, and so she wrote this book about it, but it is a trashy novel, and she does lean into the raw emotions of it, of what it feels like to be a teenage girl who witnesses her father beating and sexually assaulting her mother. They are some deep emotions, and it's obviously a very serious issue. But when you are writing your characters, you can write those raw emotions and your reader doesn't have to experience those things, but they can experience the emotions that the character would feel at seeing that happen. And then obviously she runs off to her homeless boyfriend, who obviously has his own struggles, and she's a teenager, so she's already got the angsty emotions without adding the serious things of domestic abuse into her life. But that was what made that book so page turning when I was reading it, was because Colleen Hoover wrote it in such a raw way that I felt the emotions as the reader, and so I wanted to know how it worked out for the character. And that's what you need to do when you're writing these stories, is lean into the emotions, put everything on the page to make the readers feel it. I have a scene in one of my books where my characters, it's a forbidden love story, but they just can't stay away from each other because obviously, and he's going off to be with somebody else because it's a fantasy world, so it's, you know, literally they could be killed for being together, and she finds out he's going to marry someone else. He's doing that to save her life, but she's like, runs to him and throws every emotion down on the ground right in front of him, because how can she see him marrying someone else? And my readers love that scene. It's one of their favourite scenes. And with this as well, you've got to amp up the stakes. Like, when you're writing, always think, what's the worst thing I can do? And then 10x it. So amp up the stakes in your story. And this is exactly what I'm doing in my story right now. I get them to a place and I think of the next thing. How can I make this situation worse? You know, I have a scene where they basically are in a cave together, and I'm like, okay, they're stuck in the cave, so how could I make this worse? Well, I can throw some kind of monster in there so I can make it harder for them to get out. I can make something collapse so that they're stuck. He's literally just trying to think of everything you can throw at the characters to make the situation worse. But obviously don't make it so impossible that you can't get out of it. And this is where I say with a trash book, let your inner teenager write the story. And did you ever write as a teenager? I did. I mean, I've been writing forever, but when I was a teenager, they were probably the most emotional stories I ever wrote. I remember writing a story and it was about a woman. She was about 18, 19 at the time, and the start of the story, she wakes up on a country lane. It's dark, it's abandoned, she's no idea why she's there, how she got there, what the hell's happening in her life, who she is. She's got amnesia because why not? And she walks until she finds somewhere, and she finds this big kind of ranch place, and there's a light on upstairs. So she knocks on the door, and obviously the really hot hunky cowboy is going to answer the door to her, and he's single and he lives alone and he's a little bit moody, and so he answers the door and she doesn't really know what to say because she doesn't know who he is. And then he's like, oh my god, because what she didn't actually realise, and how would you not realise, but she's actually very heavily pregnant and she never noticed that. And so then he's panicking because he's like, are you about to give birth? And he's, you know, the most anti-baby person ever. And then they get stranded on his ranch, so he can't get help. So he literally has this pregnant girl with him and he doesn't know what to do. And then obviously she goes into labour and he has to deliver the baby, and they get to know each other. And, you know, as the story goes on, she has the baby. He doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know who she is. They've no idea of finding out who she is. And he kind of like, you know, as the story goes on, and they start to fall in love kind of thing. The fiancé shows up because why not? And it turns out the fiancé is an arsehole because, yeah, that's the trash. And that was literally my teenage self writing that book, and I had the most fun with it, and I was sharing it online when I was writing it, and my readers had the most fun with it, and it was just so great. And that's probably one of my trash books. In fact, I had 3 books come from that story, but it was just pure self-indulgence and I don't care. I had the time of my life, and that is what you need to do. When you're writing your trash book, what I will say is don't worry about the writing, or don't worry about it being good writing. And I don't mean write bad writing, as I was saying before, but what I mean is don't obsess over every sentence and over every word. You're not aiming to get perfection on the page. You know, one of the things I hear a lot about 50 Shades of Grey is how terribly written it is. But I could tell you, E.L. James with her 2 big mansion houses does not care. She has sold millions, if not billions, of books. And it might not be the best writing. The readers don't care about that. What they care about is the messy, flawed characters and all the emotions and all the things I've just talked about. So when I say don't worry about the good writing, don't. And I'm not saying have typos and all that lot, but all these things we're always taught when we're taught how to write, don't obsess over them and get yourself into this writer's block stuck place. And lastly, when writing a trash book, and how to write a trash book, write it for yourself first. That is what I did with my first trash books. That is what I'm doing with the one I'm writing now. Last year I had a real struggle, well, last couple of years actually, I had a real struggle with writing and getting the words down. You know, I have been a full-time indie author since 2016. And I think I got into that place where I was trying to write the perfect book and make every book have a point and a theme and all the other things that we're taught we need. And I think I overthought it so much that I stopped myself writing. And so I started writing this book just for fun. It was a silly book. I was just showing my readers while I was writing a different book. And it took over. And because I was just having so much fun, I became addicted to it, but so did my readers. But I literally have been writing it for myself. It's got all my favourite fantasy tropes in it. It's got the favourite character flaws in it I love. And one of my favourite tropes is the finding out you're secretly royalty, and that is one of the tropes in this book. She doesn't know yet, and I am so looking forward to it, and I have enjoyed putting the hints down on the page for my readers. And none of my readers so far have picked it up as to, you know, how other characters are acting around her when they see her, because they know she's royalty. She just doesn't. But I'm really looking forward to that. And, you know, when you write for yourself, write your favourite tropes. And, you know, these are your love triangles with impossible choices and the enemies to lovers. You look at the books that are at the top of the romance genres, because trash books tend to be romance. Not that romance is trash, it's fun. You know, right now there's the whole romantasy thing where it's a lot of your character doesn't know that they are royalty and they are on the run from something, and then they find somebody and they fall in love with them, and wouldn't you know it that the person they fall in love with it either is the enemy or the family is the enemy of your character's secret royal family. And those books do amazingly well at the moment, and all these things that I've talked about are exactly why. And my videos always feel like a ramble. This one's no different, but I'm going to leave this here because I think I'll probably just get into repeating myself. But before I go, I just want to kind of remind you that trash books aren't bad books. It means fun books, and it doesn't mean that literary fiction isn't fun, but these are just a different kind of fun. They are super self-indulgent, and there's something about them that's just so addictive, and that's whether you're reading them or writing them. There is that element of where you just can't get enough. You know, that cowboy story I wrote, I was addicted to it, my readers were addicted to it, it went on for years. It's been years, decades since I wrote it, and it still holds a special place in my heart. The book I'm writing now is addictive. My readers are addicted to it because I am literally writing it as a trash book. And writing a trash book is really like gold. There is nothing quite like it. It's chaotic and fun, and sure, it might be a little cringeworthy in places, but who cares? You know, life's short, and being a writer is supposed to be fun. And the trash books allow us to embrace the parts of ourselves that are filled with drama, that are emotional, that are twisty and whatever. Embrace them. And trash books remind us that stories don't need to be profound or carefully polished to be impactful. They just need to make someone feel something. And that something could be giddiness or heart-wrenching sadness. It doesn't matter. You just need to make the readers feel the emotions your characters are feeling. And you know, if you're holding back because you feel your story isn't good enough, or maybe there's just too much in it, don't. Keep writing it. Embrace those parts of it. Embrace the chaotic madness. Basically, write a book that makes you happy. Write the one you can't stop thinking about. Write the book that makes you feel like you're pouring your teenage self onto the page. Because at the end of the day, there's actually no such thing as trash in storytelling. If the story makes someone smile or cry or laugh and keep turning the page, then it's gold. So go ahead, write your trash book and make it the most drama-filled, chaos-packed masterpiece the world has ever seen. And have fun. And I'm going to leave that here. But I just really, really love trash books, and I hope you do too. And I hope you got some value out of this video. And before I do go, I'm just going to remind you that I have a podcast with my friend and author friend Rob Radcliffe, and I will leave a link down below for you. I also have a small little writing group that I'm trying to grow if you would like to join that, and we also have one for our podcast if you would like to join that too. I will leave all links down below for you, but I'll leave this here with you. So until next time, bye for now.